Dave.
Ian.
Apexadjacent. We do car stuff, and we talk about music. We talk about politics sometimes. And today we open with some consumer advice because, guys, I got a screaming deal on something, and I've got to share it.
Okay.
And it's pretty cool. Now it's you know me, I like my retro stuff. I'm a vinyl collector, a very low tech house. And I got
tech house. Have you seen your oven?
Nothing connects to the internet is what I mean. Nothing connects to the internet.
It's not a smart home.
It's not a smart house.
Okay. Yes. Okay. As many things air gapped as possible. Okay.
Absolutely.
I was going to say, I'm going to Kool-Aid man into your freshly remodeled house when you say it's a low tech house and be like, what the fuck?
My dishwasher has a Wi-Fi capability, and I opened it up. I was like, nope, absolutely not. Anyway,
same with
I'm
my
doing
fridge.
a bit, Dave. Yeah. I'm doing a bit.
I'm here for it. I'm yes-anding, buddy.
Except for the part where you were like, nope.
Yeah, well, yes, and you're wrong.
But anyway, so I got a really great deal on something, and I just got to share the good news about it. So I got this like super cheap pager from this company.
USA Mobility.
It was a company. It does a lot of ticking. It ticks a lot. But it was pretty cheap.
Okay.
You have not watched the news, have you?
No, I've no. I told you I'm so detached from the news. I'm sorry that Dave. I am the fucking lead balloon bringing down this bit.
That's okay, Dave. Here's what happened over
Jesus.
the weekend. It's a bonkers story. And actually, I in seriousness, I do want to talk about it because I can bring it back to cars.
Okay.
As like an actual news thing.
Sure.
But okay, so over the weekend, thousands of pagers in Lebanon exploded simultaneously.
What? No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. And it turns out that Israel did like a supply chain hack.
Yeah.
And they figured out Hezbollah, and it was targeted at, it was the Hezbollah terrorist organization, bought a bunch of pagers because they didn't trust the cell phones anymore.
Right.
So they were trying to go more low tech to try to get around Israel's intelligence agency.
Right.
So they bought all these pagers. Israel found out about it, figured out who was manufacturing them and who was going to fulfill the order. Somehow, I don't know if they intercepted a MAFR or were involved in the manufacturing process or something, but had 3 grams of plastic explosives in each pager, and then obviously some sort of intelligence to be able to set them off. And the other day sent a bunch of beeps, and then they all exploded.
Jesus, what?
Yeah, it's crazy. I figured maybe you had heard about it because it's a big thing in like
tech circles and stuff.
Tech circles and that sort of stuff.
No, I have not. Yeah. I've just been learning gross new fishing techniques. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but the reason I was thinking about it with cars is, so I mean, these sorts of like supply chain hacks,
right?
It's a big thing in my line of work, as you can imagine.
Right.
Where people are worried about what if a state actor intercepts a batch of network devices and inserts a chip that copies every piece of data that goes through it and sends it off someplace else.
Oh, right? You mean to do the thing that our CIA has absolutely done with Cisco hardware?
That one, yep. And China has as well. So, yes. So yeah, that sort of stuff it's a real thing.
Right.
And it got me thinking about connected cars, and also about, the idea of a supply chain hack for like fleet sales,
Sure.
right? Because you could, if you were, especially now that all of the a lot of the like software and stuff is kind of commoditized, and people are like outsourcing like the
infotainment
systems are like basically, so on some cars are basically just Android devices.
Yeah.
Which we know never get exploited.
Right.
But the idea that somebody could figure out, oh, this is a fleet sale for the government of wherever.
Right.
And, you know, not even at the point of the final manufacturer, but upstream of them.
Right.
Get, do a supply chain hack on the suppliers.
So let's go through like just a pragmatic example that just jumped into my head. Let's say that there is a fuel pump manufacturer that gets compromised, right? And that fuel pump, depending on certain conditions, some kind of signal, something like that, will overheat on purpose, right? Like some component in it will get very, very hot, right? Like ignite the fuel cell.
Well,
things like that, right?
And this has been done. These sorts of things have been done before with like Stuxnet, which was on a much larger scale. But that was an attack, a malware that was kind of
physical
the first
controller to manifest a physical event, right? Meanwhile, deceiving a digital output that said everything was okay.
Right. Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know anything about Stuxnet, it's fascinating. Ars Technica did a wonderful long form article about it. I'll see if I can put it in the comments. Yeah.
But it was way back in like 2010. It was sort of the first recorded instance of a computer virus having a physical effect in the world. And it basically set Iran back 10 years on their nuclear program. But this pager thing is truly bonkers.
That's
and like
crazy.
Seems like just another level. There's all sorts of like security cam footage and stuff in Lebanon of like people in the grocery stores and like their bags just exploding.
Jeez.
Like it was pretty crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
But anyway, so it got me thinking about supply chain hacks on the automotive sector.
Right.
And in some ways it's really hard. It would be really hard to do because there are so many suppliers.
Right.
But also
in a way that makes it easier, right?
Right. Yeah, there's so many suppliers. But figuring out what component's going to end up in what particular car would require quite a lot of doing.
You're exactly right. Like, if somebody is making said fuel pumps, right, they're making like 4 billion of them, right? Yeah, like 200,000 are going over here, right? And then to devote the resources to put that kind of like exploited piece into everything that you make versus the things that are going to the places that you want to target. And then how bad would it be if something, false fired and was friendly fire, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's Tesla's excuse. They're going to say that they got hacked and somebody turned down the resolution on their CAD drawings for the Cybertruck. And that's why it looks like shit. Yeah. No, we had this made up of 32 polygons. This drawing says 8.
Yeah. But I mean, think about the targeted, you're talking about like targeted attacks, cyber attacks on cars from a state actor. I mean, the Cybertruck's a great example. I mean, if you knew a target had a Cybertruck, you could probably just disconnect the steering wheel from the wheels when it's in motion. Right.
Like a drive-by wire system, right? Or take the Stuxnet approach and make the driver think that everything's okay when in reality it's not, right? Like a speedometer reading a false speed, all kinds of things, right?
Yeah. There's lots of stuff.
Yeah. It's very frightening.
Yeah.
But it is. That's crazy. I can't believe they blew up pagers. That's wild. Yeah. I don't know. You're watching this hit me real time. This is the same thing you went through when you first saw it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was just like, holy shit. Because when it first happened, there was a bunch of speculation that it was just like lithium-ion batteries that had gone bad.
Yeah, like Samsung Note 8s.
Right.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like, well, this is like thousands of them across the same all at the same time in one country.
Right.
And yeah, it turns out they had like 3 grams of plastic explosives in them.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's so wild.
And they were in the field for like, in a just fully operational pages for like a month or so.
Which is great. Remember the last pager I had was like in 2008 or 9, got ran over by a car. Cause I had it clipped to, I was riding my bike home from work, right? I had it clipped to my backpack strap, and it like, I at a stoplight, I got back on my bike and started pedaling, and it just like freaking yeeted itself off. Like my body was rejecting the technology like a bad kidney. And it hit the ground, and a truck coming the other way ran it over. And I was like, well, I guess I don't have a pager anymore. And I turned around to like try to pick up the debris, but traffic was going crazy. I fell when I was turning around. I washed out on some sand, and like a person was like, "Are you okay?" Like this whole like sequence of events. Like,
right.
Yeah, but that was the last time I had a pager. But
did
like,
it survive?
No. It was in a billion pieces. But what if it had 3 grams of C4 in it?
Yeah.
Right? I'm just an accident-prone idiot. Right?
Right.
Yeah. So, you know.
I don't know, man. It's a pretty bonkers story. Oh, and actually, I've never had a pager.
You've never had a pager in your entire life?
Never had a pager.
Yeah. Had one in high school. Had one for a while. Had to have one at the hospital. And then we finally got rid of them. So, yeah.
I was not cool enough to have a pager in high school for sure.
Neither was I, but that didn't keep me from having one. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Well, anyway, that was my opening bit. Successful. Wow. Successful as always.
Despite me trying to derail it. Despite me not getting your joke about, you getting a great deal on a ticking pager. Yeah. I was like, where is this going? Yeah. But I trusted you. I knew it was driving towards something. Yeah. Anyway.
What else do we have to talk about today?
Well, we have so much car stuff to talk about. This is going to be a car show. Like we're talking cars today, everybody.
And pagers.
Yeah, and pagers, definitely pagers. So I mean, we got the talk boots. Yeah.
I think we should start with your shirt and your report, because I am dying to get the full story, the full readout of how things went last weekend at Lemons.
Yes. So Joel, Chris, Peta, Chad, and I competed in the 24 Hours of Lemons at a High Plains Raceway in our delightfully awful 2008 Chevy HHR 2.2 liter, normally aspirated, 5-speed manual transmission.
Yes.
Car that had a field replaced head gasket. It's probably, I doubt the thing's even making 100 horsepower, man. So so we competed. We had everything together for the race. You came over and we were talking, and I think we may have said this on the show, but like the biggest logistical thing that we were trying to solve before the race was getting the spare engine to the race, just in case. Like nothing needed to be done to the car whatsoever, other than some stuff for my live streaming stuff and like an oil change, right? That was it. So team and car in a great place. And so I want to give everyone credit for that. Like all of the hard work that everybody put in, Joel and Chris and Peta, Chad, our friend Mike, who unfortunately can't race with us this season, wasn't able to race with us this season. It was so great that everybody was able to put so much work in, that we weren't like last minute hustling. We weren't pulling all-nighters. I rolled out to High Plains on Thursday just to get us a spot on the paddock. And then Chris brought the truck on Friday morning, and it was great. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know, right? Yeah. And so, we have stuff that we want to do, but we can get to that later. But yeah. So we were out there for the Friday test and tune. We didn't even turn a lap. We were just there like getting everything ready for the morning. I started doing some testing for the live stream stuff. Yeah. And then Saturday the race started. Let's see here. Who was first in? Chris. Yeah. So he and Joel bought the car. He was the one that Joel had met through rugby, that they're looking for a different kind of competitive thing to do because our bodies are old and we're breaking.
Right.
Yeah, you can only, safely take so much ibuprofen. Yeah, I almost said ivermectin because I was thinking about that earlier. Remember that whole crazy shit? Yeah. Anyway, yeah, so Chris took the first stint. We started in second place when they were lining us up, right?
Yeah.
And by lap 6, we had dropped to like 50th or something like that because everyone was faster than us. And so it was just, they were driving in their rear view mirror the entire time. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever had an experience like that, Ian.
I kind of have, but yes, I have. When the S10 was particularly on its last legs,
right,
and running
left
on
and right, yeah,
running on like 3 of the 8 cylinders,
yeah,
it was real slow, real slow,
and it's scary to be out on a track like that.
Yeah, at one point it was like that at night, if I remember right, and it was not fun.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's not fun to do. I can't imagine doing it for the full race like that.
Yeah. Yeah. The green flag was at 10 a.m., I think. Yeah. You and Nico came by, which was fantastic. It was so great seeing you there.
We did. It was a ton of fun. Nico had a blast. He played golf at the judges' stand.
Yeah.
Because there was a golf themed car. And he really enjoyed the other like theme shenanigans that were going on in the paddock.
Okay. Yeah.
The French pole vaulting themed team was hilarious. Did they win the prize for the best like team thing?
I think it was the golf car.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but the French were like really, really there. Yeah, we weren't able to stick around for the full awards. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, there was some people pretending to be insane French pole vaulters that had stuffed their pants and were walking around with giant PVC,
they had
pole
baguettes.
vaults.
They had baguettes in their pants, which is so funny.
Yeah, and they were tormenting anyone that came through the penalty box.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
Yeah.
Like, did you get any firsthand experience in the penalty box, your team?
Well, I want to say this. So this race was full of firsts for our team. Okay. So my live streaming setup, I had an issue with the battery, so I couldn't stream the full day on Saturday. I wish I could have, because you would have seen said shenanigans and some of our firsts as a team, like us breaking the seal on a few things. One of the things that we broke the seal on was getting hit by another car.
Yes. Well, no, we were there for that because that was within the first hour.
That was while Chris was driving in his first stint. Yes.
Yeah. And I saw it on the live stream.
Yes.
Because I was like in the paddock, like frantically, like trying to rewind while you guys were at the judges.
Yes.
It's at 10:44 on the thing.
Having that live streaming stuff, and thank you for like being like the man on the street, getting us like the time, like the eye in the sky. Yeah, you were like Chopper Dan, coming in. Yeah, so that was fantastic.
But you could see it on the live stream, and you could hear honestly. So you couldn't hear much audio over the live stream, other than other cars' engines.
Our car is so quiet.
It's so quiet.
It's silent.
But you know what you could hear on the live stream was in the middle of turn 1, the thunk of another car hitting you.
Yes, you certainly could. Yeah. And then you heard a lot of profanity from Chris when he was at the judges station.
Oh, really? I missed that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and I got to say, having the live streaming stuff for like on-track incidents, there were several times where I just showed the judges like what had happened. And they were like, oh, you got that on camera? Like, and, I was just rewinding, like,
yeah,
like you did. And yeah, so like for that one, I showed them the video right there. So there's a rival team, our nemesis team is in a PT Cruiser, right? They beat the pants off of us, right? Because their engine probably runs on all 4 cylinders. They're super nice. We've talked to them a bit. But yeah, so they overcooked turn 1. Their brakes locked up. They were having a bunch of issues with that. They hit the rear tire of Chris on the driver's side. Everybody was okay. It didn't even break any of the plastic connectors on the bumper, right? So it was like kind of like almost like just wheels making contact real quick.
Yeah.
And other than that, it was okay.
It was like they just pit maneuvered you.
Yeah.
Like, super gently.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And so like the way things turned out, like Chris had gone to the grass, then gone over to the track entry and gotten back on to finish the lap, went to the black flag, judges area. The PT Cruiser folks were already ahead of us. There was a Miata that had spun out after us that you could see on the live stream, like after the incident. And so the PT Cruiser folks like completely owned up to it. They admitted that it was their mistake. They were overdriving, yada, yada, yada. And so when we got there, the judge, it was just more of a check-in with Chris, making sure everything was okay. They looked at the live stream. They told us that the PT Cruiser guys, had messed up and owned up to it. And so everything was good. Later on that night, the PT Cruiser guys came by our camper and they said a sentence I have never heard before in my entire life. They were like, hey, super sorry about that. Come by and have a drink. It's on us. We have a keg of Fireball.
Oh, no.
Who buys a keg of Fireball? I just assumed that there would be somebody somewhere that would prevent you from putting that specific alcohol into a keg container quantity.
A terrorist buys a keg of Fireball.
Isn't that insane?
Awful.
Have you ever heard of that before?
Didn't know that was a thing.
Me neither.
Didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah. So anyway, smash cut to Joel being very drunk later that night. So we had our first on-track contact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Let's see here. We had our first full day finish, right? We finished that whole day. So that was 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Awesome, right? Yeah. And we also had our first penalty that we had to serve. So the rear brakes are super touchy on the HHR, right? Mm-hmm. It's very much like go-karting. So because we swapped the drums for discs, we did not put in a reproportioning valve to reduce the pressure to the rear discs. They're running the same track pads that are up front, so they're just as grabby. But for anybody who doesn't know, drum brakes require a lot of pressure, right? So there's typically more pressure sent to drums than there are to discs. And so those brakes we're getting way more pressure and locking up very easily. PETA was able to handle it because he's a kart wizard, right? And in fact, PETA was out handling a BMW 318 and an Acura Integra in the turns at High Plains Raceway.
That's great.
In a Chevy HHR.
It's not surprising.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, it's not a bad handling car.
Because the rear brakes are, Right? So is that on the list for next year to get? Are you going to do an adjustable one, or are you just going to? Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll do an adjustable one. We'll probably just take 2 steps down and pad as well, and just kind of find a butter zone there. Yeah. So, So
how many spins were there?
So Joel spun once, Chris spun once. Yeah, maybe twice. I can't remember, but we did the thing where you donate to Lemons of Love. It's a charitable organization. So you kind of get one get out of jail free card, but it can't be for something really bad. Right. And so we had almost 3.5 black flags. And then towards the end of the day, Chris went out for I think the last session of the day and he spun it like 5 minutes into it. We were doing like an hour and 5 minute stints. And he spun it like almost instantly. Came in and we had to do a penalty.
Was there one particular spot on the track that they were spinning out at a lot, or was it just sort of everywhere?
It was kind of like turn 6 and 7, like, yeah, kind of over the hill and sharper kind of off camber.
Yeah,
turns were getting them. Yeah, they were doing okay coming up the hill on 7 and stuff.
So
like
at 8, the hairpins, because that's a really common place where people spin.
They did not spin there, unfortunately, because then we could have seen it from yeah. But yeah, I'll have to go back through the live stream and see what I can find. Yeah, for the first day. But yeah, let me pull up a picture, because I have a picture of what we did when we served our penalty. The delightful lady at the gate, her name is Lisa. She had forgotten her tiara. So we had to make Lisa a tiara as our penalty.
That's fantastic.
And it needed to be something she truly wanted. So I grabbed one of the radios and I ran all the way to the entry point, the gate where she was working. And I interviewed Lisa about what she likes. I learned that if I would have given her some of the cookies my wife made for all of us, they would have killed her because she has a peanut allergy. So it's a good thing we didn't give her any baked goods. But she really liked Twix. She loved the color blue. And so I radioed that back to the guys, and I made my way to the food truck concession area, bought like 4 Twix, and then met up with the guys. They were they cut up a blue funnel to make like the top and zip tied copper crush washers to it. Right. Yes. So it was sparkly. And then PETA made a band out of hose clamps that he had taken apart. See, this ingenuity, right? And so here we are. We had to present it to Lisa. She had to like it. But yes, here we are. Oh, it's doing that thing because it's one of those high whatever images. So let me convert it real quick. Thank you, Tim Apple. Convert to JPEG. Here we go, everybody. Boom. All right, there you go. There's Lisa. I painted the Queen Lisa on there. Yep, there's Joel, me, and PETA, and Lisa. So
that looks amazing.
Yeah, so we made Lisa a tiara. Yeah, and PETA did a fitting right there. With like
with the hose clamp.
Yep. So there you go. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so that was your first penalty, and it was just for spins, which is a fun shenanigans penalty. Yes.
And I think that it was really interesting kind of watching all of the judges' stuff like happen. Our bribe, like, we kind of didn't have it together for a bribe because we didn't want to like just do alcohol and stuff like. So we were trying to think, and we didn't really come up with anything. And while we were at the track, they had radioed in the morning that they needed a pop-up. And Chris and I like looked at each other and we were like, we're real close. Like, let's get over there with the pop-up. And so we did. And like they were, this was on Friday. And it was very, very welcome. Like they talked to us, and like you learn that like the judges, like arguing with the judges is not going to get you anywhere.
Because one of their primary things, like when they make people come in after spins or after they have contact, even if it's not their fault, is just like an adrenaline check, because so many people just descend into the red mist, when something like that happens. And so having to drive through the paddock and have a conversation with a human and then drive back out, usually in itself just kind of like calms the situation down, right?
Yeah, it does, right? And like if you show them respect, if you show the judges respect, like they respect you, right? Like if you kind of like show that you're just giving yourself over to like the whole wackiness of the whole thing, they very much embrace that, right? Like
Right.
Like when we came through after one of the spins, I was taking air out of some of the tires, and you're not supposed to work on the car while it's in the judge's stand. And like, because like we had kind of like been very nice and completely agreeable and like, you know, just very approachable and very like happy to be here. And also we're in the slowest car in the universe.
Right.
Right. I was like, hey, Judge, look at the mountains, you know, like they're really pretty. And he's like, I'm not looking behind me right now, you know, like while I'm like letting 2 pounds of air out of like one of the tires.
Right.
You know,
and well, I was thinking like, yeah, that's going to fix it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Unless that 2 pounds of air was weighed, 6 tons.
Right. Yes. Single-handedly responsible for the brake bias. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a good time, and like just kind of learning like to embrace the wackiness. I definitely see like why people are really drawn to this, and I think it's just a great thing to be part of an environment where like everybody can like get what they want out of it. Right. Like,
yeah,
I'm not driving, right? I don't want to drive, but I'm having a fantastic time. Like going because for anybody who doesn't know, when you spin or get a black flag or something, the whole team's supposed to be there. Yeah. Right. And so like, like talking to the judges, like doing the live streaming stuff, having a great time. And like, Joel and Peter and Chad and Chris are driving, doing great. And it's just a great, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, man.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
How did day 2 go?
Day 2 was interesting, Ian. So, Chad.
Before we get to day 2, I just want to stop and say your live stream setup was ridiculous. Like,
thank you.
In the best possible way. You Daved it so hard.
I did Dave it pretty hard.
It looked so good. You had a pedal cam. You had a little graphic of the car in the corner. You had a front-facing camera, a rear-facing camera, a view of the driver.
Well, thank you very much. There's a lot of credit to where credit's due for that. So, yeah, for anybody who doesn't know here, I can just kind of share like some of the live stream here. Here, can I put it in theater mode so you can see it better? Go. Yeah. And so, definitely want to give credit to where credit's due. So the folks at Temerity Motorsports, they've been in the game for a long time. They run a fantastic Miata. I basically just stole all the ideas from Temerity, from Sean with Temerity. I talked to him on Facebook Messenger a little bit. And so he's super helpful about like some ideas and stuff like that. So thank you very, very much, Sean. He even restreamed some of our stream on the Temerity Motorsports live stream. So he was there. His team had raced at Road Atlanta and came in 12th. Their Miata came in 12th overall at Road Atlanta.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right? Or not Road Atlanta, Road America. I'm sorry.
Oh, Road America. Okay.
Yeah. So they were there the weekend before. Sean was the car wasn't here, but Sean was with this live streaming setup. He live streamed for another team. And so he threw some of our streaming into the mix, which was awesome. So thank you very much.
Very cool.
Yes. And then there was another stream that I just happened across that somebody had talked about, like they were trying to do, stuff like that on, I think it was a Facebook post, something like that, but they had a graphic of the car and they just, they had a graphic of the car. And I was like, that's such a great idea. Cause like everybody wants to know what the car looks like. Yeah. But like, how the hell am I going to get a camera outside the car?
Right.
I can't, hang this thing off of it to like do a giant selfie stick or anything. But yeah, so just I drew a little graphic of the car. I just locked in on ADHD meds and treated this illustration like a adult coloring book on my iPad. And awesome. Yeah, so thank you. And this the track map and the lap data is coming from a tablet that's running Track Addict in the car. It's sending the telemetry out to Track Addict's free live telemetry streaming. It's getting pulled back down by a browser on the PC that's in the car, and just displaying that. The OBD data, so that we got the engine coolant temperature, fuel, vehicle speed, the vehicle max speed. This is a half a mile straight. We could only hit 85 miles an hour, Ian.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So we had that. But, hugest concern from last time was obviously engine temps. We wanted to make sure that we had that completely nipped in the bud. So not only did you have the stock gauge, you had a giant, it was one of these tablets I have back here, just like a cheap Samsung 8-inch tablet, just with a Bluetooth connector. And then there is a free an open source Windows application that will mirror an Android tablet display to a Windows PC.
Oh.
It's called SCR Copy. And so it mirrors your screen on a USB connected Android tablet. I think it'll do it over Wi-Fi too if you want it to. But yeah, so I basically just connected the PC in the car, just an HP PC, like one of the mini guys, to that tablet. Just ran a USB-C cable all the way up there. That charged it, and it allowed me to get a mirror of the OBD screen. So there's that. Nice.
And then used OBS for the...
OBS for everything. Yep. Created a graphic overlay with like green borders, so like the camera feeds like all just kind of lined up nice and clean.
And then what'd you use for cameras? Did you use webcams?
Oh, buddy, so we got 5 cameras, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Up top, we've got a GoPro Hero 7 with the HDMI out and a USB-C power supply.
Okay.
That's the front cam. Rear cam. And I have 3 of these. A Akaso, AKASO, 4K camera. The thing about these is you plug in a USB-C cable, it asks you into a PC, connect it to a PC, it asks you if you want to use this as a webcam. Right? So it's charging and being a webcam. And it has pretty decent image quality. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the rear cam?
That's the rear cam. Then I have the wheel and driver cam. Those are the same brand, right? Akasos. And then lastly, I think the first action cam you and I ever bought for the podcast, the Get Up. Do you remember this one?
I don't remember that one.
It was this weird like open source or like something GoPro competitor way back in the day.
Okay.
And they're legitimately good. This webcam, it does 1080p. All of those cameras except for the GoPro were doing 1080p. This thing was cheap back then. I think it was only like 70 some odd bucks back then.
Yeah.
And it has mini HDMI out, and it uses that old, not USB micro, USB mini.
Oh.
Right? So I'm powering it with USB mini. And then I just have the mini HDMI out. Then I'm using, have them around here somewhere. Just basically, USB-C to HDMI to USB-C capture devices. Have you seen these?
No.
Yeah.
So that was going to be my question: is how did you? Because you have disparate ways of getting it all in there. Like, how did you do that?
Yeah, it's a USB.
Because this is the part that we could never figure out was the cameras.
Yep.
Getting cameras and audio especially, into a PC is not a trivial thing when you have multiple cameras.
Right.
Because you run out of USB bus potentially.
Yeah.
A lot of cameras don't do USB out for streaming. And then we had at the time, I think we had a couple of these little like HDMI to USB things, but I think we were running out of USB bus speed was the issue.
Yeah. Yeah. So here, I can show you. So there's a couple key pieces to it. I'll just unplug this. So here's the streaming setup that goes in the car.
Oh, I love it.
So we use these HP mini PCs at work, and or we used to. And I was looking on eBay, and like you can get like an i5, like a decent i5 processor. This is like an HP 6th gen, like $200. So I bought one, right? I know the hardware, right? Worst case scenario, if I lose the power supply that it came with, I could snag another one from work until I buy another one, right? So, my grandson put a bunch of stickers on him from one hell of a town and cats with hard hats and stuff. So, so we have the PC. So I did some masking tape here that shows like what each connection is, because in OBS, if you had moved the USB cables around, you would have to like reconfigure all the cameras.
Right.
Right. So for the USB 3 ports, we had the driver, the front GoPro, and the wheel coming in. The driver and the wheel were reduced down to 1280 by 720 in OBS. So that way we didn't run out of bandwidth, right? Mm-hmm. The driver was only 1080p, even though it could do 4K. And then on the front, there's two USB-C ports, or two USB 3 ports and a USB-C port. I did the pedal cam on one of the USB-Cs, or the USB-C, and then the rear cam on another USB 3 port up here. Then I just have a USB 3 hub that's did like the audio. So I use those DJI wireless mics. Yeah. And I have a thing to do that will enhance the stream is I have figured out how to pipe radio into this.
That was going to be my next question.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. The key is a second radio in the car.
I was going to say that's exactly what we did. I had a radio, we had a box, and I just Velcroed a radio with a mic out, or with a headphone out to the mic input of the PC. Was how we did that.
Yep. That's exactly what I'm going to be doing. Yeah. Yeah. Because I made the radio system for the truck and it worked great. I need to try a new antenna for like turn 6 and 7 back there. But yeah, I was trying to I made an aux port on the radio box that I made for the truck. And anytime I connected something to it, it caused like a weird ground loop. So I nixed that. So then while I was there, I unlocked the idea of I'll just throw another radio in there and use the headphone out. So instead of trying to take the mic signal that's coming in on the ring of the connector and the speaker on the tip and forking those out, and you don't
want to mess with ground on the PC either, because that would be bad.
Right.
So,
but the key to the whole thing is power.
Yes, that was going to be my next question, because that was another thing that gave us a lot of headaches.
Lemons allows small batteries in the car, right? Yep. And so I'm probably pushing it with what I'm doing, but I will say the battery pack that I use, it is a Jackery 300. It's like one of those camping battery packs, right? So it's this little jukebox looking little buddy here, right? And it has an AC outlet for the PC, and then it has a couple of USB outputs here. I have one of those weird little 3-way cables for a USB-C thing, so I can power the modem, the pedal cam, and the GoPro from that, because if power drops, then you got to mess with some OBS stuff, right? If the PC drops, then the cameras you have to hit disable and then deactivate, reactivate. It's a whole thing.
It is.
So I wanted to have something that could keep the PC running, but not put power back into the car if the kill switch was turned. That's the key, right? Yeah. Because otherwise you could just run off the car battery, but then you're kind of still powering stuff when the kill switch is off. So that's not great. But then I have a battery. So should it put anything back in the car? Right. So it's just one way to a couple cameras in the PC and the modem. Right. So that's all it's keeping running when the kill switch is turned.
So then how are you charging this battery? And the big question is, can you charge this battery while discharging?
That's what caused the stream to end on day 1, Saturday. So this little mammer jammer has enough power to keep going for about 3.5 hours with everything that I was doing.
That's pretty crazy.
I know, right? Yeah. The PC only takes about anywhere from 40 to 60 watts, depending on the temperature. But yeah, so yes. So I ran a post kill switch cable to this. It has a USB-C adapter over here for this in-out 100-watt max, right? So you can charge it from USB-C, right? So so from kill switch, I ran wiring that was going to an AC inverter is now just going to this like a cigarette lighter adapter that converts to this. And so through like by the end of the day, this thing was down to like 70%, but it had run like, I don't know how many hours, like 10, something like that. Yeah. So it was only losing like a few percentage, a few, 1 or 2%, like every, I don't know, like every pit stop or whatever. It wasn't bad at all. Like maybe 5% or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you. Yeah. So this has like little feet on the bottom of it. So I took off the feet, little rubber feet. Of course, that's where they hide the screws. If you take stuff apart, you know that people hide screws underneath rubber feet, right? And that's your way into everything these days. And so I put it on a heavy piece of ABS. I riv nutted that ABS to the floor of the truck. And so that's how it's secure. That shit's not going anywhere. So yeah.
That's awesome.
So that sits in the passenger side. Yeah.
So how much weight do we think you've added to the truck?
Let's see. So, I mean, the PC, this is probably what, like 8-10 pounds at the most for the PC and modem.
Yeah.
The battery pack. Bad. Yeah. What's the battery pack say on Glamazon here for weight? I mean, basically if you take a big deuce, you're going to, how much? Yes. 8 pounds.
Oh, that's nothing.
Yeah. So under definitely under 30, all said and done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't want to like really do this to a Lotus Elise or something, but for a Chevy HHR, go nuts. We have a snowboard strapped to the roof as our spoiler, so I don't think we're concerned.
Just curious.
Yeah.
These are the questions.
Valid question. Yes. Yeah. Valid question. Yes. Yeah. Because like we were talking about like, oh God, like if we can't charge this battery pack, like could we put this, like Chris had one of those like whole home battery packs that can like actually like power your refrigerator for 12 hours or whatever. Right. It's like we could put this in. I was like, oh my God, like we're like, we might as well put a gas generator inside the car and then our driver passes out from the fumes. Yeah. So the stream ran the whole day on day 2. Yes.
What else happened on day 2?
Joel got a black flag. Oh, our Chad drove for the very first time. So Chad's one of the fantastic welders that welded the cage of our car. He's a super nice, fantastic individual. I've shown his truck on the show, his insane Toyota Tacoma, right? The monster truck. I wish Nico could have seen that. He would have freaked out over that truck.
He would have, yes.
Yeah. Our paths will cross for sure in the future. So Chad drove, and guess what? Chad's fucking quick. Chad's never driven in race conditions. He's an old school motocross guy. So what do you know about motocross guys, Ian?
They're crazy.
Right? Yeah. And they're fast as shit. Right? Yeah. So he was turning laps that almost matched PETA's.
Nice.
Yeah. So PETA got a 234.8, I think, in the HHR. Which is insane because he couldn't get over 85 miles an hour. Okay. Right. And this is him talking to us on the radio, like weaving through traffic. Like he said, like on that first day in his second stint, like he completely flow stated, like completely just had it. Right.
That's great.
Great.
Yeah.
And so he turned down some sick times and Chad showed up on day 2 and if PETA was one shoe, Chad was the other, man. Like the two of them, like Chad completely negotiated traffic, did amazing. Yeah, he started on day 2. So like he dealt with like all of the beginning stuff, all the speed differentials from the very beginning of the race, right?
Yeah.
And so amazing. So impressed with Chad's talent. Like he's going to be amazing. So so Chad drove. We were in the paddock watching the live stream. This is when I mentally decided that I need you as a driver on the team, not just because I absolutely need you as a driver on the team, and everybody wants you as a driver on the team. You're a fantastic driver, and you know how to handle a go-kart like that HHR that will spin if you look at it wrong. But to have an additional person to do the fuel and pit stop and stuff like that, while I like have everything going, comms and streaming and everything, and like don't have to like go back and forth and suit up and stuff like that. So everybody can like watch the stream when they're like chill out in the air conditioning in the camper, recover, and I can like mother goose, den mother everything, for everyone else. So that is absolutely where I want to be, and we need another person, I think, for that to happen. So,
well, yes, I want that to happen as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, then half hour from the end of the race. So we had worked our way from, I think the lowest we were was probably somewhere in the 50s out of 79 entrants. We had worked our way, right? Yeah. We had worked our way up to 44th or 43rd, maybe even 42nd. I think at the highest point, we were 8th in our class out of 20 cars. Mm-hmm. Class C. Yeah. And half hour from the end of the race, Chad was doing his last stint, and he radioed in that the car had broken, and he pulled over. And we towed it in, and it was determined that it was the front driver's side wheel bearing and potentially the axle. Maybe those splines had chewed up, or the wheel bearing is just completely shot. But like, we took the wheel off, and like with the wheel studs, you could kind of go like this without the rest of the wheel moving, with the hub moving. Yeah. So
I was watching the live stream when it happened.
Yeah.
And it sounded catastrophic. Like,
it sounded bad,
and it sounded like the engine was revving up. So I thought it sounded over the live stream like the clutch just disintegrated. Right, is what it sounded like, and I was hearing like a bunch of like material and then like metal on metal.
Yep.
It's what it sounded like, because it sounded real bad over the stream.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty crazy. And then the saddest thing of the video of it being towed in.
Yeah, here, let's see if we can find it on the stream. Oh, yeah, I did like when you told me that there was a bug on the lens. Yeah. Yes.
I did. Yeah, I did text you to let you know that there was a bug on the lens and you should go fix it.
Yeah. So Chad getting towed in.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, man. Yep.
I will say, so I've spent some time on either the back of a wrecker or being towed in like this. Yes. And
hell, I've put your car on the back of a tow truck.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I mean, in races, and like I remember at Laguna Seca, they had they had a flatbed, and they would pull you out of the flatbed then take you around Laguna Seca on the flatbed. And at one point, my dad had on the Maserati has a GPS speedometer on it, and I was like, this is faster than I went around this corner. Like,
when the tow truck driver's showing you up,
it was so weird to sit in the car on the flatbed and then watch the speedometer move up. I was like, oh wait, right. It took me a second.
Yeah, that weird, like, yeah,
yeah,
that's really funny.
I thought I was going insane the first time it happened.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So, yeah. I
so
did,
it was wheel. You think it was wheel bearing?
It is definitely wheel bearing and axle. So yeah.
Was it making noise? Because it was like a pretty instant catastrophic failure. It seemed like, right?
Yeah, I think the wheel bearing and axle, like whatever splines were left on that thing, just gave up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. I think I can find the moment where my wife when she was watching, she said she knew I was just done. It was here when I had the Ugga Dugga and the sockets, and I'm just hit. She was like, "You look like you were just like, okay, what do we do?" Like,
well, there's also a moment because you have the wheel cam where you appear because you take off the wheel.
I do.
And I tried to get a picture of it, but I missed it on the stream.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a moment where you appear
And
and
I
you're
poke
just
my
like,
head inside. Yeah.
To see what's going on.
Yeah. There I am down there.
There you are.
Yep.
It's not gone well.
No. Yeah. It's always cool when the axle spins and the studs stay right where they are, right?
Yeah, that's what you want.
That's what happened. Yeah.
Oh my God. So like completely just sheared inside.
I think so. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not the transmission side.
No, the CV boots and everything are there. Like the transmission's still spinning it. No problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that axle nut was spinning and the studs when the wheel was up were going nowhere.
That's wild that it didn't make noise or vibrate or anything. Like it just like went.
It just went. Yeah. Which is crazy because like you said, like our car is so quiet. Like,
yeah, I would have heard that.
Yeah. And maybe it's just because you have a helmet on and headphones and the windows are open, you know.
I think we would have heard it on the video. Yeah. And I would have recognized, that's wheel bearing.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what? Yeah.
It's such a recognizable sound.
Oh yeah, right.
I mean, how many Ubers have you been in where you're like, this wheel bearing is about to fall apart?
Right. Yes. Yeah. And we didn't hear it when it came in for pits, you know?
Right. Yeah, you definitely would have heard it.
Yeah.
Definitely would have heard it then.
Right. Yeah, good point. Yeah, no, just catastrophic wheel bearing or axle spline failure on that outer end.
Bonkers.
Yeah, so we'll take it apart and get pictures of the carnage and bring that back for sure.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah. So a half hour from the end, we weren't able to take the drive for the checkered flag, but everybody was very happy. Everybody was, so thankful that they got to drive. Yeah. At some point, I stick my head in here and I talk to the camera. I don't know if you can hear me, but I do say at the end what it was and tell everybody goodbye and turn off the PC. So yeah. So there you go. Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed watching the live stream. I enjoyed coming out and watching the race in person because that's always fun.
Yeah.
But man, this live stream is a real triumph. Like it looks amazing. You've got some really great timing on here and everything. I love it.
Thank you. I worked very hard on it. I really appreciate that. I think that future enhancements, I would like to have some blind spot cameras, right? Because I think like some like near the mirrors or something like that. Because when I was showing the judges, like I showed for every time we went in for a black flag, I had the streaming stuff. I showed the judges what had happened, and like there was one time where PETA pulled off and thought that he was about to be dive bombed, but he was so used to driving in his rear view mirror that car was not dive bombing him, right? Like he made a choice to safely put 4 off of the track in a very controlled fashion rather than to and it was the same place where the PT Cruiser hit us, right? In turn 1.
Yeah.
And so PETA was just being safe, right? That's the mistake you want to make, right? But then we looked at it, he had told the judge what had happened. We looked at it and it was here's actually what happened. And everybody was good. And the judge was like, don't drive in your rear view mirror, and it's like, well, this is the slowest car in the universe. So, but you just have more context for what you were doing in that moment. Right. And so PETA absolutely was making the right choice. If that's what you think is going to happen, right. You take the safe thing and you protect yourself. That's the most important thing, know, and we can't have our beautiful Maine baby boy get hurt. And, so, so it was really interesting kind of seeing that live streaming stuff and how it helped, and so I want a better kind of rear view, right? And because cars get completely lost in the blind spot. And I think that's very exciting stuff to see when somebody's dive bombing you or something like that in a turn. That's that's cool. So driver cam, wheel cam, pedal cam's awesome. You got to keep pedal cam.
The pedal cam is the best.
Yeah. So I got to figure out how to enhance the rear view piece,
I think instead of the wheel cam, one on the right hand side, because it's mostly, because it's a clockwise track. So
Yes.
most of the big braking zones and stuff are right-handers, with the exception of like turn 8.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of passing happens.
Yeah.
So like looking backwards from like the front fender,
Yeah.
on that side, I think would be
Right.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe just one of each. Maybe one on each fender instead of the single rear view.
Instead of the single backup. Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking. And then just kind of combine the views close together or something. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you could put the left-hand one on the left-hand side, and then the driver and pedal cam in the middle, and then the right-hand side.
Yeah.
I think that would look great.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I owe so many folks credit for ideas and all that stuff. Ian, I super appreciate you for like, even like having the idea for like the live streaming stuff that you did with the dirty racers and all that stuff.
Well, that was mostly Joe. I was just trying to execute his vision.
Well, like the stuff that you did gave me a jumping off point. You helped me get started with the cellular modem piece and all that stuff. So, you did help. Yeah, for sure. You fed the Dave brain fire, whether you like to or not. Sean with Temerity Motorsports for sure. And so I'm very
super cool.
I absolutely thank everybody who watched. It was amazing. Yeah, so thank you everybody for watching and hanging in there. We will definitely pipe radio comms in, because that, like, you have to hear the radio comms. Yeah. Right. That's the best when we're talking crap to each other over the radio and stuff. So we'll definitely get that in there. And then if I'm able to kind of plant and like just focus on the live stream and kind of den mothering everyone, then I can engage more with the chat and kind of get stuff going that way, and kind of like interact with some folks that are watching and kind of make it fun from that perspective too. So yeah. So
yeah, absolutely, man.
There you go. Oh, look at this. Like, Peter got the car to 87 miles an hour in the screenshot. Yeah. So there you go. And turn 9. That's downhill. That's what downhill does. That's what gravity does to help us. So,
well, no, I think that max speed, that's for that stint.
Oh,
right.
Oh no, that's since the kill switch has been hit. Yeah.
Yes.
So we were fueling every other. So yeah, that's we did only hit the kill switch when we were fueling. Yeah. So yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah. Right. So
I think honestly, given this data that you have, which is really great, you almost need to re-theme to be like a still in the present instead of Back to the Future, and because you've never hit 88 miles an hour.
That's really good. Our whole shtick could be that like we cannot hit 88 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Like we have like a governor on the car, right?
There should be like a really loud like klaxon if you do hit 88 miles an hour. Like,
yeah, like the RX-7 speed thing, right? That came on at like 78 miles an hour, whatever it was, right? Yeah, right. That like insane little buzzing thing. Yeah, but to your point, it should like alert the entire facility. Yeah. Yeah,
the whole paddock should know when you hit 88 miles an hour.
Right? Yes. Yeah. People are going to be trying to bump draft us to get us. Right? Yeah, just a Corvette C4 like pushing us down the straight.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, why does that car have a cattle bar on it? Yeah. So very appreciative of the team of PETA and Ian and Joel, PETA and Chris and Joel and Chad and Chris Olfrane for sure, for Mike. Yeah. Just so thankful for those guys and for everyone's involvement. We got a solid team going, and we'll see what the future holds for the Turtle Van. Yeah. So
yeah, I'm excited.
There you go. That's the Lemons Report. That's all we've talked about besides that and blowing up pagers. But yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah.
Should we do one more quick thing and then wrap this up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What do you want to talk about next? I'll let you pick.
Well, we need to talk about when our buddy Steve came to town.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Our good friend,
I'm going to try to pull up his website while we're talking here.
Yeah, Steve Edwards, who we've had on the show a while ago now.
Yeah.
But he was the one who went to Africa and came back with the sick Land Rover Discovery. And he came down. He's from Colorado originally, and so he came down to help his parents out with stuff, and we got to go karting with him, which was fantastic.
Yes.
It was PETA and Dave and Steve and myself
and Freddie
from Autocross, and it was backwards day at the track, so we kind of were on a little bit of an even playing field, except for Dave and Peter, who showed up early to practice, which I did not appreciate.
Yeah, did it affect my outcome at all, Ian?
Yeah, you did really well. Like I think the three of us, you, me, and Peter, all got a first place, right? I think.
Yes, I did get a first place. Yeah, and we all got 29s. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think the track is a slightly faster backwards.
Yes. Yeah.
But it is real weird.
It is. Yeah. As ingrained as that track is in our muscle memory, like, you know, that thing where they have like F1 drivers like draw tracks with their eyes closed and stuff. Yeah. We could drive that track completely blindfolded and like turn down like a 31, no problem.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. So to do it backwards is a trip, man. Yeah.
It really is.
Right?
But yeah. Land Rover Defender, not Discovery. Sorry. Defender. Yeah, it was a ton of fun. PETA is so fast.
Yeah.
I had one cart that was just it was too fast. It was so fast in a straight line, but didn't want to turn very much. So
right. Yeah.
Man, it was a good time though.
It was so great meeting Steve for the first time in meet space, right? Like he and I chat over text with our buddy David Obuchowski a fair amount in trying to help David with his Peugeot and his Peugeot troubleshooting. So so we talk sometimes online. But yeah, the first time seeing him in person, he's such an incredible guy. And so, Steve, we're so thankful that you came down and you were able to carve some time out and that you drove your freaking Land Rover and we could see it. I got to sit in it and like I figured out how the door handle works without getting trapped in the vehicle and stuff. Oh man, it's such a cool truck, man.
It's super cool.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Here it is right here in the browser. This is his website, he and his wife's website, venturesomeoverland.com. And yeah, God. They bought it in the UK.
Bought it in Ethiopia.
Oh, bought it in Ethiopia. That's right. It had been in the UK. It had previously driven all through Africa. And like he told the story on the show of them like arriving and doing the suspension on it, like right when they got there. And this is an awesome, amazing car. And it has the most adorable little beepy beep horn. He honked it when he was leaving. And it was like, meep meep. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it was so great seeing Steve and experiencing this amazing vehicle in person. Yeah.
It's very cool. And I'm excited to see what he's redoing the inside of it. And I'm excited to see what that ends up looking like.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Backwards day. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for coming to kart. Yeah, absolutely. It was so great. Yeah. PETA and Freddie and you and Steve. Yeah. We had the clutch crew going, man. Yeah. Not a couple randos would work their way into our heats, but yeah. It was a lot.
For the most part, it was just us by ourselves, so it was a good time.
Yeah, Weird Dave didn't need to show up at all. He didn't have an opportunity to show up. Yeah,
I know. I didn't see Weird Dave once. I miss Weird Dave.
Yeah, I know, right? We got to stop making reservations like hoity-toity people at the kart track and just get thrown in with like 8 or so randos, and Weird Dave will be right back out. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, because every time I'm catching someone and you're behind me, I'm like, man, I'm going to try to set this guy up for a pass, but I know Dave is going to ruin it. And here he comes. Hey!
Yeah, Weird Dave's catchphrase is, and me.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, I think we should wrap it up with an album of the week, because I think we've run into Crypt Keeper, which is
we have.
This time,
did you see
100% my. Yeah, I did see it, but it is 100% my fault because I was so distracted when we were trying to get started.
That's okay.
That I delayed us by a good 25 minutes.
You're in new office, Ian. Right,
Yes.
so you have so much tinkering to do. Where is this paperclip gonna live? Where is this monitor? Yep. Yeah. He's just holding a screwdriver menacingly at the camera.
I don't know. Dave. Okay. Oh, album of the week.
Yes.
We're going to go old jazz album.
Okay.
My sister actually played this for me. But man, I really, really dug it. She played it for me this summer when I was up by the Twin Cities. Okay. And it's called Mingus at the Bohemia. And it's a Charles Mingus record from like the mid 50s.
Yeah.
But man, I think it's maybe my favorite Mingus record I've heard. It's just really, really good.
Okay.
Just lovely smoky room jazz.
Okay.
Yeah. A little bit out there, like a little bit. It's not quite just like straight ahead hard bop. Like there's a little bit of like interesting things going on, but it's not so wild that it's like, what the fuck is this? You know,
right.
like
Yeah, like Audio Balaco or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, this is fantastic. I love it.
I think that is a good analogy for where you are with moving back into your house. Right? Like you have like some consistent through lines. Yeah, a little bit of weird stuff. Yeah,
it's still jazz though. We're still making it up.
Yep, still making it up, right? There's these boxes that contain like lunch, like deli lunch meat, and also computer keyboards for some reason.
Yeah. Oh no, I found a box that I labeled books, records, kids stuff, and 2 coats for some reason, and it said for some reason on it.
That's mentally where you were at. Yes. And now you are unpacking that, right? So you got a little bit of the craziness, right?
Mm-hmm. Physically unpacking.
Yeah.
Physically unpacking only. Not doing any other unpacking right
No
now.
Emotional unpacking.
Don't have time for that yet.
Okay. All right. I don't know if there's I was about to say, like, I don't know if there is somebody that would handle therapy on a physical level, and then my brain said physical therapist. Is that what you were looking for, Dave? Physical therapist? Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, I implore everybody to check out some pieces of the live stream. If you see anything that you think is interesting on the live stream, send it on over, because we're going to make just kind of a little highlight reel so that people don't have to watch, so much.
It's a great idea.
So I should be able to chop that up pretty easy. But yeah. And then next week when we record, Ian, we'll talk about some autocross stuff that we have coming up. And then I have a mystery that I've solved, Ian.
Ooh.
Yeah. Next episode.
I like it. A cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Everybody, 720-515-1391. Text us things or call us and leave us a voicemail. You can do that too. And Apex Adjacent everywhere else. Thank you. We love you. Goodbye.